Oh no. Oh no. You're rustier than I am. I
Oh
lobbed
man.
you. I lobbed you the show kickoff seconds before hitting the record button because I didn't know how to kick it off. But you were less quick than me, even, or the same
I
same level.
Yeah, I just got stage fright fully.
Stage fright on 106. It's crazy.
106. Yeah, it's been a while. I feel like we haven't recorded in a while. That's why.
Yeah.
But that also might
Although
not
we,
be true.
yeah, I think we did because we recorded last midweek. We did 2 episodes last week because we hit the Atlanta game. That was a big disappointment. That was the midweek, and then whatever was before that, I think Columbus or something like that.
Whatever disappointment was before that.
Yeah, Columbus at home. Um,
Yep, and we got Montreal coming up.
Montreal away a few days from now. Obviously, I think stuck to the midweek schedule a little bit. Try to give ourselves some time after the Atlanta midweek. But Montreal, I guess, or maybe we should let's before we get into any previewing, I guess we should talk about the game at hand, which was, I believe, traveling out to Portland. Was it the first time, I think, since the MLS Cup? I'm not sure that we played them last season.
It was the first time since, which kind of hyped up the game a little bit more than it would have been otherwise. I feel like otherwise it would have just been another day.
Yeah.
But obviously when you go into somebody's home, into their backyard, and steal a chip off of them, going forward, it's going to be a big game. So, yeah, I thought neither of the teams looked anything like they used to back in that game. Both shells of the teams that they were before. Obviously Mora wasn't on for most of the game, which I think heavily benefited us because, it was a back and forth game, and I think he's such a dangerous player that he would have definitely hurt us had he had a full 90.
And when he did come in, he was dangerous.
He was dangerous, yeah. And they were dangerous, obviously, up until the last minute, literally.
Yeah. Which
kind of sucked the air out of it. It was another one where we thought we would be winning, and we don't. So I don't know. It's like I really at this point I don't know how to feel, because it was, even with the late goal going in, it still felt like a good result, but in the scope, in the grand scheme of things, it's like it's another disappointment. It's another 2 points lost.
Yeah.
For us.
Well, it's I almost feel like, I don't know, there's something about the way that we've kind of turned around the schedule, I guess, in terms of, instead of going all losses, we're now starting to lean towards going all ties, and then hopefully all signs then point towards switching at least to getting some wins from here and there. I think we talked about it a little bit in our last episode that, like, in the grand scheme of things, the Atlanta away, and now we can add the Portland away to this. In a standalone, in a vacuum, like, they're actually pretty good results. Especially in terms of Portland here. They obviously go up against us, and then we
draw it back with Keaton.
Yeah, Keaton ends up drawing it back. Like, that's something that I'm not sure, and somebody could quote me if I'm wrong, but I'm not sure that that's happened this season, that we've gone down away.
Oh, away, no.
And managed to get a point, unless it happened against Atlanta. But we scored first in Atlanta.
Yeah,
like,
Atlanta was the one I was just talking about.
Yeah.
In this game, it was us rescuing a point, but
which
still
is
dropping
big.
Two, because
which is big.
When you have the opportunity to go and win a game and you don't,
right?
That does feel like dropping 2 points to me.
But it's a change of pace for us, who are far and away the worst away team in the league. To go down to them at their house and still be able to rescue anything from it, I think has been out of character for the last 10 games. It's obviously a step forward from what we've seen the last 10 games.
Yeah. I mean, it's the sad part about it is, if these last 2 games were wins, you're talking about making the last maybe 4 or 5 games turn into a different context, because then that turns into a 5, 6, 7 game unbeaten rather than non-winning.
Right. Yeah.
It literally changes the whole entire agenda that you can attach to it.
Right.
Because you can flip that and say we win versus Portland, we go and get that late goal or something like that, and we hold up defensively against Atlanta. You're talking about 5 games unbeaten rather than
11.
11, whatever, unwinning.
Yeah.
Um, and it's those margins like that that honestly make a lot of the conversations surrounding the club kind of seem a little bit weird and out of place. But at the same time, as a fan, you're still hurting. So
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to place. It's hard to place really where your heart and your mind kind of disconnect in this sense.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, there were probably a few players on the field that were very integral, I guess, at least in the result that we got. Chanot, obviously back from international duty, and I know he got selected to the bench for the team of the week.
Hagbini.
In my opinion, I was a little surprised with Chanot getting selected to the team of the week, but I think that's just a factor of we didn't need to talk about him because he was getting the job done back there. And you know what? I like seeing him in that armband again because Sands is gone. Like there was something special about seeing Chanot back there, and I don't know. He gets on other players' asses too. Like Freese was making some boneheaded decisions at one point, and Chanot like let him hear it, and that's something that we haven't seen from Jimmy, and something that we've wanted to see.
Right.
So I don't know. It felt kind of special, I guess, at least to see him for however long this Gold Cup thing is gonna go for the U.S. Chanot will be able to don the armband. So
yeah. Well, I mean, speaking of Freeze, I think just real quickly we could touch on that. I think
the goal that he gave up.
I just think watching the two games that he had, as the one,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's been proven that Barraza is by far and clear the number one.
Yeah.
And that's no disrespect to Freeze. I think he can definitely become a much better player than he is right now, and he's a great guy and is everything like that. But at the end of the day, you can't be scared and you can't be second guessing yourself, and you've got to be confident. And Barraza is confident, and Freeze is not.
Yeah.
It showed very clearly. Chanot, in that moment that he yelled at him, Freeze should be coming out and getting that ball.
Yep.
Freeze should at least be putting his hand up, even if you think there's a chance of it going over. That means that there's a chance of it dipping under your bar, which is what happened. So you have to put your have to put your hand up regardless. People defending that and being like, oh well, he thinks it's going over the bar. Well, he thought wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a decision that he makes. Like that,
Right.
That is an attribute of his goalkeeping play, that you would prefer to have somebody like Barraza in over him.
Right.
If those are the decisions that Freese is going to make, we can't know what Barraza would do in that situation, but I think he's been more than adequate in terms of shot stopping. I think we've been very surprised. I think as an entire fan base. With Barraza and his ability to shot stop, because that was the one thing we were worried about with Sean leaving, is that okay, we know Barraza has at least on par, if not slightly better distribution than Sean, but we're gonna get killed on shot stopping, and that has not been the case.
Right.
So
I mean, I would even argue that we do know what would happen with Barraza in goal, because he's shown that he will put that effort in regardless if he thinks it's going over or not.
Yeah.
He's diving still. He's putting a hand up still. He's covering the space still.
Mm-hmm.
So I would argue we do know that Barraza would at least have put his hand up.
And
that doesn't mean he's going to save it.
Right.
But he's at least going to put his hand up and show that effort.
Yeah. And the giving up thing is like, we've talked about other players in a similar light, whether that's Tales, we feel potentially being lazy, or Santi at times when games are dying out. So I think it's only right to mention it the same way with Freese too. And for me too, it's like, you're coming in here and you're trying to win a one job. You're getting a opportunity seemingly from thin air. Like there really is no reason why Barraza should not be playing. In my opinion, I understand like short rest. We have a bunch of midweeks and all that stuff, but like at the end of the day, you're still a keeper. I don't think there's many leagues or competitions in the world where a keeper is getting yanked.
Right.
Without some crazy circumstances, because for the most part, they're able to just play every game.
Right.
Like, they're typically Ironmans. So I would have liked Freese probably not to be in the game whatsoever, especially with Chanot coming back, because Chanot and Barraza have built sort of a partnership back there. And, I mean, we saw the same thing that Chanot was doing with Freese this year's preseason. I vividly remember, I think it was like the LA Galaxy preseason game. It wasn't filmed anywhere, but we had like the radio broadcast, and then we had like LA Galaxy beat reporters posting clips from wherever they were in the stadium. and there was an exact situation like that where
Right.
Chanot was chewing Barraza out, and I just think that Chanot and Barraza have now had enough time together that those moments will not happen.
Right.
And it was that exact thing where Chanot was expecting the keeper to come out and collect the ball, and he did that for Freese, and that's what it was with Barraza in that preseason game. And I think they've now established a rapport that those moments will not happen.
Right.
Because I think on the one with Barraza, it was even worse. I believe it led to a goal.
Yeah, I think it did.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, all of these things kind of lead to the greater conversation, which was Nick's decisions in this game and before this game. Which, again, I think it's 2 weeks in a row where we kind of
I think it's been more than 2 weeks.
chalk it up and we're like, dude, it's getting hard to defend some of the decisions that you're making. Obviously, we have hindsight working in our favor.
With Gabby.
With a few things, in the moment the Gabby substitution, I knew something was wrong because he was clearly upset going into the locker room, but I didn't know if that was like frustration with the game, how it was going, or if it was an injury or whatever it was. But it did come out that he was injured. So I guess that one
saves Cushing because
that's a scratch.
Otherwise, that's undefensible.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
there
yeah.
is
You couldn't defend that.
Nothing else saves that aside from Gabby being injured. Cushing did say in the post game that he had some abductor pain, which I believe is your inner thigh, and I think I only know that because of those machines.
Yeah, those things kill you. But at Planet
abductors going in and adductors going out. I think.
Yeah.
I think there's something with his thigh, which
either his groin or
which is not ideal when you're
Not
Gabby and you are who is the most important player on NYCFC at the moment and probably for the past couple games. I don't know if we could talk about it too. Like he didn't get selected to the All-Star game. I was wondering how you feel about that.
I don't think anyone really deserves it on our team. We're not in the position where we're winning a lot, and there's like a key reason for it.
Mm-hmm.
There's yes, he's been our best guy, but like when you're the leader of Southampton or something, nobody's really praising your name.
Right.
Is he better than a lot of the players that are selected? Yeah, but he's not performed at a clip that deserves to be in there. So overall, I think it's fair. I don't think we deserve a single player on that field. Maybe Barraza. I think Barraza is pretty under.
So.
I think Barraza is pretty underestimated in that regard. But other than that, I don't think we deserve anybody.
What about like a Sands?
It's too boring of a position.
Yeah.
I think if we had more clean sheets, then probably maybe like a Chanot would be in there.
Yeah.
But
probably Barraza. That's probably what holds Barraza back too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah, I'm not mad at it. I'm more just mad at
maybe
some of the decisions that have been made.
I was gonna say it's too late. It's probably too late for Hack. But if he had done the entire season what he's done in the last 4 games, we're talking like upper echelon center back in the league. Honestly, like we are, and that's not only in terms of the defending showcase that he's putting on, but I think what we're always so drawn to with Hack is his ball playing ability. And it's been crazy. I think we've got a little thread going on Twitter of like every good ball that he plays. So check that out if you haven't seen it. But like, he hits some pings or he plays some Ben Sweat-esque balls where, you cannot be mad and you cannot be knocking his ability.
I just feel like at this point, like if you're continuing the agenda, that Hack is just another guy. I don't know. You're holding on to something just because of pride or something. There's just no other reason. You have to
also as an academy homegrown kid, like such a great story.
And it's so good to get behind and so good to support him.
Mm-hmm.
That it feels weird to not. And at this point, like to say that he's not a starter or that he's not an everyday player. Like if you continue to play him this way, he is going to not only like be that guy, but he's gonna exceed that. He's gonna become a guy that's not gonna be on the team very long if he's starting every single week.
Yeah.
He won't be here very long, so enjoy it while it's here, because he'll be in the same boat as like Sands and all those guys when they depart.
Yeah, and I think another player to bring up that had a pretty outstanding performance, at least in the scope of all 11 players, would be Keaton. Obviously, he got the goal, which goes a long way with making sure people think you had a good game. But even aside from that, I mean, I do want to call out that early on, and it's been for a couple weeks. I know we've talked about it too, that Keaton has seemed a little sluggish on the pitch. Not only sluggish, but a bit more frustrated than we've ever seen him. And I saw the same thing early, not so much the frustration, but kind of like when we see a Matty come on and it's been 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's like, how are your legs already gone?
Yeah.
With Keaton, it's felt like that for like a few weeks where he's just moving sluggish, maybe not as motivated just because of frustration, whether it's with ref decisions or ref indecisions where somebody is taking him out and not getting a call or something like that, or giving him a wrongful call, which he decided to be very vocal about on Twitter. I saw that for the first 30 minutes, but then I think he kind of kicked it into another gear, and he started doing it like the ball that he played to Gabby. I think that was against Atlanta for the early goal, and then obviously the header here too. He ended up putting together a pretty impressive performance, and that's kind of the typical Keaton that we like to see, and that I think we often do see. But something about our losing streak or our winless streak, I guess, has, I don't know, maybe affected his mental, but he seems to be back at least for that game.
Yeah, no, I mean, it just shows in these past two games how important Keaton can be and how good of a player he really is and how he can really control our team. It gives you hope almost for a world where NYCFC doesn't sign a striker, because you know that you have players on the field that can get it done. And if we really, really, for whatever reason, don't get the business done and we have to fire Lee because of the protest that will happen, that the team can at least score goals playing off of set pieces, because that's something that's really never been a piece of our game. But if we can get that together, and that's really something that we focus on and attack, to be really, really good on set pieces and take advantage of every single opportunity that's given to us, we could be very dangerous even without a striker.
Yeah. Well, I think we're just about at the point too where our next episode, barring anything crazy going on in Montreal that we need to hop on and talk about, will probably come after the home game at Charlotte, which is July 5th. So maybe by then, this is a date that we've been building up, and the whole league, obviously the transfer window opens. We may have, hopefully some type of league business to talk about at that point. I know a lot of other teams have been getting in their business early. That's not something we typically do, and rumors are far and few in between for us. But, we're getting there. We're almost at that point.
I hope so.
And there's been a few guys. We have Ugbo. We have Nico from Montevideo.
There's been guys floated, but then there's also a lot of, I don't know, not misinformation, but kind of like, how do you say, like clout chasey type stuff, where it's like you're saying something but you're not really saying anything, and kind of putting a whole lot of nothing into a tweet to somewhat drive up your interactions.
Yeah.
So I hope we get less of that and more just concrete information. And I also don't really want it to be spoiled.
Yeah.
Like I would like to find out from NYCFC Twitter that we signed a striker. Like I really don't like the leaking stuff.
Right.
Personally. Like as much as like last week we sat here and we're like, just a little bit of info would take us to a new level and give us something to be happy about. I mean that from the club. Like the leak stuff really, to me, is kind of like, it's kind of whack to me.
Well, and the thing too with that is, once it's official from the club, like, not only does it give us like a boost as a fan base, but it also gives the locker room a boost. And we may get morale boosts from leaks and rumors, but that's obviously not something that's making it to players. But when that announcement is made that the reinforcements are finally coming, and maybe if it's like the Nico guy from Montevideo, I'm not sure if Santi has any type of relation with this kid. Like, these are the things that re-establish like a fire in these players, especially if you're like a Gabe Segal or a Tales, or if they sign somebody in your position, like, okay, now your position's on the line.
Right.
So you better start performing, because this new guy's coming in and all he wants to do is perform. And that's kind of like what we saw with Richie. And for a little while, Richie's arrival definitely helped motivate Santi to play better. And obviously Richie was always very motivated to play well. So we need something. We need a tide turner, is
Yeah,
one way or
for
another.
sure. But I just think about how hype it was when we found out that Sands was coming back,
Hmm.
and nobody knew.
Yeah,
People might have claimed they knew, but they didn't.
yeah,
But like, just how cool that moment was, versus like how much cooler maybe Pogba going back to Man United would have been because of the video that they dropped and all that stuff.
yeah,
Had people not known for 2 months already that they're working on it, and then that the deal's almost signed, and this is the contract and all the numbers, and the numbers and what the guy's making before you even have it officially announced that the person's playing for your
Yeah.
team. To me, it's just so much more exciting and more hype when you look at Twitter and you have a notification from New York City Football Club, and it's like, we've got something to tell you.
Yeah.
That is so much more fun. So stop the leaks, man.
Well, and I feel like even across the league, it's kind of it really deflates everything. Like we've known
It
about
does.
Messi for like, I mean,
Yeah, and he hasn't even signed.
how long have we known it's been actually official? Like, maybe a month or two, but like rumor, like I mean, if we're talking rumors, like I think somebody was quote tweeting themselves saying Messi to Inter in like 2018, but like this is something over
Right.
the time has been like so widely pushed, and then ultimately announced, and then same thing with like Busquets. Like it's not as exciting when you find out that these dudes are done. Or Pookie, like we were talking
Yeah.
about Pookie going to
Dude,
Minnesota
Pookie's
like
a
a month
dog.
or two ago.
Yeah.
And now it's official, but it's like, okay, well, it,
It
felt
just
official.
takes the fun out of
yeah,
it.
yeah.
To me.
But Pookie could be an issue. Like genuinely Pookie.
He scored. I think it's over now. I think the record has been stopped. But he scored in the first game of every season for like 10 seasons straight.
Yeah.
Um,
Didn't he get like a Puskas award too for like goal of the year or whatever?
Possible. I'm not sure.
I thought that was like what put him on the actual map.
But I mean, he's a dog, and it just points to the fact that our team still has not done any business.
Well, yeah, and even since we last said it, we've talked about how these teams underneath us or around our punching level are getting better, and all we were talking about was like Messi at that point for the most part.
Yeah.
And now we have like, I guess we talked about Arango too, but now like Pookie going to Minnesota, Busquets is joining up with so now they're getting even better, and you do get worried because at some point when you have 4, 7, 12, 14 games left of the season and you've punted the last 11, you start to get worried about being able to get a berth to the playoffs.
Maybe.
Even in what is, I'm gonna say, a Mickey Mouse league where the top 9 of 14, like more than 50% of the people in your conference are gonna get in, and you're gonna miss the playoffs like that in itself is
And it's just
insane.
It's just because we didn't invest.
Mm-hmm.
Not because the team isn't good enough, the coach isn't good enough. We literally didn't invest in the team.
Yeah.
And we're sitting at, however far we are into this transfer window. NYCFC hasn't signed anybody. Manchester United hasn't signed anybody. I see a whole lot of leaks about who's going where and who's signing what. And I haven't seen not one piece of anything on wax. That's why I'm over these leakers and these like fake informants, man. I'm tired of it.
Look at us.
You guys have put me through the ringer.
Draw. I don't know. It was 5 straight draws. That's not. I mean,
Not
all the way.
good.
Not all the way. Columbus was home.
And
but,
2 of them were 0-0s.
Yeah, I mean, not ideal. But I mean, that's pretty much if we're talking about the Portland game, that's pretty much it. Did not love it being at 10:30 at night. We obviously went to a Hartford game,
Which saw the manager get sacked.
yeah.
And then we went and
we
saw a game
almost
that
got
almost saw the manager get sacked.
Yeah, we almost hit a double that day. But yeah, game at 10:30 is super tough. Hopefully, I think that's the only one we have of the season. But full time wrapping up after midnight, like midnight 30, is not what we like to see. So
Especially
Montreal,
things to do the next day.
and you're coming back from a Hartford game where you've had your fair share of glizzies or
Which was
taco truck or $5 beers, whatever you want to call it. And it's 10:30 and you're sitting on a couch or you're laying in bed prepping for the NYC. It's tough to stay awake, especially when the game is 1-1 the way that it was. So,
Yeah. Although with the Harvard game, we did see one of the craziest goals we've seen in person.
Yeah.
And then saw
Lindley. from
Lindley.
Indy 11.
Yeah.
And I think
his brother and his sister were literally 2 seats away from us, losing their
Yeah.
minds.
Yeah.
And I just kind of looked at him and like, bro, that was, like, what do you even say?
Well, you have to know it's his brother too, because the dude has the customized Lindley Indy 11 kit. Like, there can't be many of those printed in the world.
Also, he had the OG number, not even the one he was currently wearing.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
You know.
So so Montreal on the weekend. I guess gonna be a rebattle of the Eastern Conference.
About to put 1,000 on Tino bet.
No, Don
1,000.
A rematch, not of the finals, but the whatever you want to call them, the semis. The
Montreal.
We played them before Philly, so I guess it would be the semis or the quarters.
Oh yeah, I forgot they used to be.
That's when
decent.
Chanot went out and Hack came in, and
Yeah.
Chanot was
I forgot they
doing his
used to
best
be
Pep
decent.
impression.
And they had that winger.
Yes,
the
but
Canadian
now he
dude.
is he's left since. I don't
He
know where
was a
he's went.
dog.
Yeah, I do.
Oh, but that was
I do believe they're much worse now than last year.
yeah, that was last year. That was last year, not the one before. I thought you were talking about the title run. I was like,
Oh no.
no,
We
but
didn't
we
play
beat them
anyway.
before losing to Philly.
Yeah. In a game where we also didn't have many reinforcements.
I remember we watched that here.
Yeah.
So we had lived here already. So
Yeah.
interesting, very weird.
So another away game. Montreal is not anything to write home about, I guess, but neither are we. So who am I to talk?
I mean, they're in a playoff spot. We are.
Yeah, but more than half the conference is in a playoff spot. And then it's Charlotte, Columbus, Philly, and then we got the Leagues Cup. So if we don't, I think we have to probably get at least 7 points. So we got to find an away win, whether that's against Montreal, Columbus, or Philly. So it's gonna have to come against Montreal or Columbus.
We simply have to win a game.
And then we have to win against Charlotte at home at Citi Field, because like we said, there are maybe 10 games before this, or 10 games after the Leagues Cup before the season ends, where it's not a lot of games to get points in. Although it's very very a lot of home. 3 out of 10 of those are at home, or 7 out of 10.
That might be our saving grace, because I don't see us scoring more than 1 goal in this Montreal game, and I really don't know if we come away with 3 points.
The issue is that the last 2 home games of the season are also going to be Red Bull Arena.
Which is just...
I mean, you can't have it. You can't have it when we're most likely going to be playing games that are deciding whether or not we're in the playoffs.
Dude, I'll go down there and build that stadium myself. I will.
No.
Catch me working 20-hour days.
We don't want that. We don't want that. It will collapse.
I mean, we've got shelves downstairs that say I can at least be part of a program that stays up.
Yeah. You could probably follow directions. I guess, you could build it, but I'm not sure designing. I'm not sure.
No, I wouldn't be
we'd
the
able to
engineer.
design.
No, somebody would have to get... Like, I could build...
But they could put a hammer in your hand,
Dude.
and those nails will go in.
Put an office chair in front of me, and that thing's done in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But I need the instructions.
Shout out Staples for
Shout
the
out Staples.
experience. So Montreal on the weekend, some games, and then Leagues Cup. Do you have any expectations for the Leagues Cup? I know we have to play
This
Atlas.
team's killed my expectations.
We have to play Toronto, and we have to play, that's it, them 2 before we get to knockout games. All at Red Bull Arena, by the way.
So if you're looking at this schedule, which is Montreal, Charlotte, Columbus, Philly, I would say we'd be lucky to get 6 points out of that.
Do you think we make the playoffs
I don't know.
this year?
I think the home run at the end, like the amount of home games we have, might literally be our saving grace, while actively hoping and praying on others' downfall.
We literally,
In the current form, I understand we're a few breaks and kicks and calls and stuff like that away from a lot of these draws being wins, but those things haven't happened at all this entire year, so I don't expect them to anymore.
looking at the table, we're actually only 7 points out of playoff contention. That's nothing. With 14 games left.
But that's what I'm saying with that home stretch, and
we're gonna need people to come in the window.
yeah, no, we do.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Currently, right now, we have no solid leads on anybody coming in. Really, we don't.
Mm-hmm.
because otherwise it would have happened already.
Yeah.
All of our players keep getting injured or taken away for one reason or another, or the referees are blowing calls and getting us suspensions.
Yep.
The like Nick in the press conferences is always like, yeah, if this bounces this way or that bounces that way, or that call gets to us, then we're winning these games. It's like, yeah, but that hasn't happened all season, so I'm not gonna continue to bet on those things happening.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think we come away with 6 points from these next 4, and then we go into a home stretch where we have to get results every home game. Every home game has to be a result. I think any loss in any of those home games is literally maybe the coffin for us.
Any loss, yeah. Like we could probably take a tie somewhere.
But any loss in the home games is coffin to us, I believe.
Damn, now I really want to go to August 20th against Minnesota. See Pookie.
Go like Minnesota.
See Pookie in the flesh.
When are they doing the Marvel kits? Is that like this? Is that tomorrow
I
or
don't know.
Monday or
That's
Saturday?
a whole nother fumble.
Dog meat.
It's just I don't know. There's too many things to complain about with the MLS. That's try to stick to NYCFC, because once you start talking about the league, it's like, okay, there's just have been so many oversights, and even in the case of this, or even whether it's Pride or it's Juneteenth or whatever it is, every single club is always going to get the same jersey. Everybody was obviously hoping we would get a Spider-Man collab, but team after team after team is dropping their Captain America. Like, why are we going to be the one team that's not the same? Like,
how
obviously we're the same.
Would it have been for Austin to get like a Hulk kit?
Sick.
Like, so cool.
You could have done so many things. Is anybody purple in the league?
Orlando.
Joker.
Dude.
Something.
Well, I mean, that's not Marvel, but...
Oh, it's not Marvel. See, let me not pretend I know anything about Marvel. Like, I just saw a superhero, supervillain. That must mean Marvel. But yeah, I don't know. It's it's an opportunity to make money for them too. And
yellow teams could have had Flash.
even you see like Fox Soccer or ESPN tweet
That's
out
also
like,
bad.
oh, look at the MLS's Captain America kids. Like, aren't these sick? Everybody in the comments just flaming MLS, poverty league, whatever you want to call it. So these are the things that push these Euro snobs and MLS snobs to hate us, and then for NFL or NBA fans that always get their color rushes, or the NBA that always get, I don't even know how they just use a different jersey as every game sometimes. That then are like, why? So you lose both ways. You lose the American audience, you lose the Euro audience. And there's too many things that happen that cause that often.
Also, like, that's one of the biggest ways to organically get fans. Like, we were watching YouTubers 2-3 years ago wearing NYCFC kits because it was, one, it was new, and two, it was cool. Like, our kits were cool.
Yeah.
But not being able to fully have a customizable jersey holds us back.
Although I would buy that Captain America ball.
The ball, yeah.
That was sick.
Yep.
But that'll do it. That'll waffle our last waffle right there. Montreal on the weekend, like we said, probably hear from us after Charlotte. Oh, the new jersey, the pod jerseys. Yeah, so we got these new pod jerseys. Very late host to host birthday gift. Kind of esque the Christmas gift sweatsuits. It's our second piece of podcast merch that exists out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they're all like one of ones though.
Yeah, they're one of ones.
Yeah, we're keeping the I don't know what you call it, keeping the juice to ourselves, I guess. But
we're not trying to be another broke bum trying to sell something.
Yeah. Wait, who said that?
Conor McGregor.
Oh yeah. But yeah, man, that's 106. We will maybe talk to you guys after Montreal. If not, then you'll see us after Charlotte. Usually a fun game. We have history with them traveling to the away game, and have some fond feelings about their fans. So I don't know, could get chippy. We'll see.
If we get more than 6 points out of these next 4, I will personally fund and send you somebody, a random winner, a podcast jersey customized with their name.
I was gonna say we should make a bet. I say
between
we
each other?
I say we get 7 points out of the next 4. We get 7 points before the League's Cup. And I'll tell you how we do it too. Montreal tie, Charlotte win, Columbus win, Philly loss. And that's our 7 in pocket.
Okay.
That's our. But
I'm
what do we
going
bet
6.
though? What do we bet though?
Montreal win, Charlotte win, Columbus loss, Philly loss.
Montreal win. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we go.
Now we go.
Now we go. We'll have to figure. We'll figure out a bet on the side. So then it'd just be over under 6.5 points. I say over. You say under. Who knows? Some type of water bet. We'll figure it out. And I guess report back when the League's Cup begins.
Yeah.
Maybe it has to be like an on-air channel of the fantasy footballers. It has to be like an on-air punishment, like they put on a clown mask or something like that. I don't know, something like that. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
But that's 106.
Or I can wear the Sterling jersey on the
Ooh.
podcast, and you can wear one of the many United kits I have.
Ooh, that's a good one. I think that probably has to be it. Yeah, that'll be it.
Especially because it'll
Seems unfair though.
it'll squeeze me and make me look like Christmas ham.
You're way more likely though to be correct. But that's fine. Or you could just force me to wear like a Tallis jersey and I'd be as upset. The
That's
Volt.
fair.
But yeah, 106 at Post 90 Pod everywhere, every social media, every place you can find us. As long as Elon Musk is keeping the lights on, then Twitter is the spot for us. We just have conversations with like NYCFC fans through the DMs. So you ever have any thoughts or anything, tweet us at us, DM us. And yeah, I mean, hear our thoughts here, you can hear our thoughts there too. So we'll catch you guys in 107.
Peace.